Hello and welcome to our introductory series. Today's topic is Shielding Cyberspace, Navigating the Essentials with CompTIA Security Plus. This intro session is set up to see if this course is right fit for you or for your team. Thank you for taking the time out and being here today. CCS Learning Academy is the professional training division of the CCS Global Tech, a 28 years old full-service IT consulting firm. We help business to build their teams with skill tech professionals, depending on their project needs. We also help them by upskilling, reskilling their workforce on the latest technology trends, professional developments, and leadership training. We offer a wide range of innovative technology solutions, training, and career placements. My name is Rajbir Singh, manager at CCS Learning Academy, and I have been in technology and professional training sector for over a decade. I work with students, organizations, and leaders for their professional development. We will be running a live Q&A at the end of the webinar. So we have enabled our Ask a Question feature. It is on the bottom of your screen. If you have any question, just put them in there. Today, we have well-respected subject matter expert, trainer, and a speaker who is SOC manager with more than 12 plus years of IT experience and 8 plus of which is in security. He has held many different security-related positions from engineer to manager. He is also seasoned training consultant. So please welcome Dragostin Tsekov. I will hand over to Dragostin now. Dragostin, you can take it up from here.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me well. So, as was already mentioned today, we will talk about the CompTIA Security Plus certification, which I think is an extremely interesting topic and also an important one for everyone who is at a different stage in their cybersecurity career. But we'll talk about this in a moment. So first, let's go through the agenda real quick and see what will be our talking points for today. So first off, we'll say a few words about what CompTIA is, what kind of vendor they are, what other certifications they offer, and then gradually we'll move on towards the more specific Security Plus related topics. So we'll talk about what domains the Security Plus examination covers, what knowledge you need to possess in order to successfully pass the exam, and basically what's covered on this exam in general. Okay. Then we'll spend some time talking about different study strategies and resources. I think this is an important topic because you might have all of the necessary knowledge at your possession in order to successfully pass the exam, but if you don't consume this knowledge in the right way, you might not set yourself for success. Okay, so then we'll spend some time talking about the preparation for the exam itself, and then we'll talk about the career opportunities that are possible for everyone who successfully passes this exam. Okay, so I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about myself. As was already mentioned, I've been in this industry for more than 10 years, and specifically security more than 8. I do have a number of security and tech certifications under my belt, CompTIA Plus being one of them. I do like to teach and deliver courses every now and then, including at one of the local universities here in Sofia, Bulgaria, where I'm based. So this is pretty much about me in a nutshell. Okay, so let's talk about CompTIA real quick. So for those of you who have already spent some time in the tech industry, you do know that there are different vendors out there, and I'm talking about different learning providers, different certification vendors, and so on and so forth. So I think it's important for everyone to ask themselves the question whether, first of all, is it worth for me to certify? And I think the answer to this question is relatively simple, at least from my perspective. I hear different opinions about this every now and then, but to me, it's pretty obvious that certification is something that you could definitely benefit from. Of course, ideally, when it's stacked up with experience as well, but certification basically opens doors for you. Okay, so in that regard, you would want to ask yourself, what are the vendors I might want to certify in, right? So what vendors that provide certifications I might want to look at. And it's pretty obvious to me that just as with everything else, not all vendors are equal, right? So it probably doesn't make sense to invest time and money to obtain a certification that does not have too much value in the industry, right? So we're all aware that most of the certifications are not very cheap, right? So you do have to spend some money, and you also have to obviously spend some time preparing for the certification. So in that regard, I think the answer to the question, which are the respectable vendors in this industry, is pretty important. Okay, so starting with that, I think it's fair to say that CompTIA is definitely one of the most respectful certification providers out there. So we're talking about the company, and just to clarify, so CompTIA is obviously an abbreviation. So it stands for Computing Technology Industry Association. It's a US-based company with, I think, almost 50-year long history. So it's not just some company that was found 5 years ago and they started selling and creating certifications. Okay, um, so they're not. So if you want to create the list of the most respected certification vendors out there, and you want to put out the top 5 in terms of cybersecurity, I think CompTIA will definitely be out there. Okay, and this is coming from somebody who is who has certifications from different vendors. I'm delivering courses on certifications from different vendors, and I can tell you for sure that CompTIA is definitely out there. So it's a respectable name. If you look up the study agenda in a lot of the US colleges and high schools, CompTIA certifications are part of a lot of the high school's agenda. So they're delivering CompTIA courses even at high school in the US for a lot of the kids out there. So you might be rest assured that you can rest assured that it's definitely a vendor that's respectable. Okay, now with that said, the next question that comes to mind is, okay, so what do they offer? Now, obviously, they offer the Security Plus certification that we're going to talk about today, but it's probably that they offer something else too, right? So, what do they offer? And if you haven't done this research yourself, just real quick, I'm gonna put it in a nutshell and tell you that they offer a range of certifications, not only geared towards cybersecurity and information security, but also geared towards other parts of the tech industry. Okay, so they offer a Linux certification, they offer a network certification, they offer a cloud rated certification. So they're not just a certification vendor that provides security related certifications. Okay, and if you go to their website, you could find that I think they offer more than 10 or even 15 different certs geared towards different parts of the IT industry, right? And a good portion of them are security certifications, actually. So apart from Security Plus, you're gonna find certifications like the CASP Plus, like the CISA Plus, and so on and so forth. Okay. And if you want to put the Security Plus certification in that context, I can tell you that this is definitely one of their most popular certifications. One of the top 3 for sure. For some, it may even be the most popular CompTIA certification out there. Okay. Another interesting thing that I just want to mention while we're on this topic is the fact that they offer something that not every certification vendor offers. And it's something interesting that's called stackable certifications. Now, what does this mean? Stackable certifications means that if you pass 2 or 3 of their exams, and there's a list of which exams exactly we're talking about for which stackable certification, they're going to give you a certification that pretty much says, okay, so this guy is skilled in this particular skill set, which covers everything that's covered by these certifications. So let me give you an example. So for example, let's say that you pass their Network Plus exam, and then you go and pass their Linux Plus exam. So if you do that, CompTIA would give you a certification that's called CompTIA Linux Network Professional, right? So this means that you have obtained enough knowledge to assume positions that require both networking and Linux knowledge, okay? And they also have different levels to that, right? So they have the specialist level where you have a few specialist certifications. They have the professional level, and then they also have the expert level, which is for cybersecurity certifications in particular. And I think you could easily say that their most prestigious stackable certification is the one that's called CompTIA Security Infrastructure Expert, or there's 2 of them, right? The other one is the Security Analytics Expert. But in order to possess the Security Infrastructure Expert, for example, you need to have passed 4 of their exams, right? So it's not an easy one to achieve and to obtain. My point being that they offer this granularity of how you could become certified. And if you pass more than one of their exams, you could easily be looking at achieving one of their stackable certifications. And that's valuable, right? Not every certification vendor offers that. A lot of them just allow you to pass a single exam or 2 exams or 3 even for some of the vendors, and then you achieve one certification. And for them, it's not like that. They offer more than that. Okay, so that's pretty much it regarding CompTIA. Again, a very respected vendor, offers a lot of certifications. A good portion of them are cybersecurity ones, and the Security Plus certification is among the most renowned ones offered by CompTIA. Okay? All right. So let's get to it. Let's talk about Security Plus. Now, first off, I want to specify something very important. Some of you might already know that. Some of you might be hearing about this for the first time right now. But as you probably know, certification exams tend to change over time, and their content tends to change over time. And what this means is that the exam that you could be taking right now is, it won't be the same exam that you'll take 5 years away from now, for example, right? Or even 3 years away from now, because as you know, I apologize. As you know, in this industry, in the tech industry, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, this is a lot of time, right? It's a very long period of time, and a lot of things change over the course of this, of these years. So because of that, IT certification vendors tend to update and upgrade their exams over time. And because of that, right now we're at a moment where 2 exams exist for CompTIA Security Plus. One of them, it's called SY0-601, and the other one is called 701. So basically, you could basically remember them as 601 and 701. So this might create some confusion among you, and you might ask yourself, okay, so which one is the correct one, or which one is the better one to take? You might even ask yourself which one is the easier one to take. So first off, the 601 exam is already retired. So I just want to clarify that. So on the CompTIA website, there's if you go there right now, you would see a big banner that says CompTIA Security Plus 601 will be retiring July 31st, 2024. So this means that it's no longer available for purchase. Now, unfortunately, they still have not taken down the option to try to purchase the exam. So if you go to the part of their website where you could actually purchase a course voucher or an exam voucher, it still allows you to select the 601 exam. But if you select 601 and try to buy it, you're gonna end up at a 404 page. So it's gonna tell you that it's gonna display a sorry message and say that the page is not found. So obviously it's not the best experience, but apparently they still haven't updated their whole website. So what you need to remember is that the 601 exam is already retired. Unless you have purchased an exam voucher before July 31st, which I'm doubting because otherwise you probably wouldn't have been on this call to begin with. So unless you already have this voucher, it's no longer for sale. So you can no longer purchase a voucher for the 601 exam. The current exam that you will be taking in case you decide to go for the CompTIA Security Plus certification is the 701 exam. This is the exam that all of the course and training material that we provide is geared towards. So nobody's looking at the old exam anymore. Everything is 701 at this point. So the next question that comes to mind in that regard is, okay, but what's the difference, right? So obviously they changed something. So they created a whole new version of the exam. So obviously there's something that's changed there. And what is it? Is it a completely new exam? Is it just slightly polished? What's going on there? Now, the answer to this question, to the question of whether it's different or not, it's both yes and no. What I mean by that is that what they changed in the new version of the exam is basically the structure. Every cybersecurity and basically every IT exam is its blueprint is composed of different exam domains. Okay, and each one of these domains composes a certain percentage of the overall score that you could achieve on the exam, right? So if the full score is 100%, then let's say domain 1 could be 20%, domain 2 could be 30%, and so on and so forth. So for example, if you answer correctly all of the questions that you receive on the exam, which are covering domain number 1, then this means that 20% of your exam would be correct, because this is the percentage that they have dedicated to this domain. Okay. Now, the Security Plus is no different in that regard. And one of the differences between 601 and 701 is that they're different. So first of all, it's the same number of domains. Once again, it's 5 domains, but 1, they are called differently, and 2, they have different percentage assigned to each one of them, in the grand scheme of things of how the exam is graded. Okay, so let me give you an example. In the 601 exam, the first domain was called attacks, threats, and vulnerabilities, and it was 24% of the overall exam score. Now, in the 701 exam, the first domain is called general security concerns, and it's only 12%. So it's like half of what it was, of what the first domain was giving in the previous version of the exam. Now, all this information you can find on the CompTIA website. My point is that, let's say that you have studied for this exam before. Let's say that you have studied for the 601 exam, like maybe 6 months ago or 1 year ago, etc. Does this mean that you're going to have to start from scratch when studying for the 701 exam? And the simple answer to that is no. No, because the exam has not changed that drastically. So the domains are called differently. There are different domains to begin with. It's different scores assigned to each one of them, but the knowledge that you have consumed before can help you with the new version of the exam. Now, I'm not saying that you don't need new knowledge. I'm saying it could help you. but definitely it's new domain names, it's new domain assignments. So you need to go through new content in order to make sure that you're well prepared for the 701 exam. Okay, so just real quick, I'm gonna go through each one of the 5 domains for the 701 exam, just to give you a quick overview of what it's about. Now, domain 1, as we've already mentioned, it's called general security concepts. So what you might expect on this domain, general security concepts, as the name implies, is basically letting you into the world of security. So it's explaining things like why we need certain processes in order to have proper security in place. What are the different control types that we might have? Basically fundamental concepts like confidentiality, integrity, availability, the so-called CIA triad, and so on and so forth. So it's an introduction. It's an introductory type of domain, and this is why it's given such a low score in the grand scheme of things. So it's only 12% of the overall percentage of the 5 domains. Next, you have the second domain, which is called threats, vulnerabilities, and mitigations. So here, the focus is on vulnerability management, threat hunting. What is a threat to begin with? What are vulnerabilities? How we can mitigate them? All of this, which is quite fundamental knowledge if you are going to do anything in the security realm to begin with. Okay. Then you have security architecture, pretty pivotal as well. So it's basically explaining different models, different ways to secure your data, different security principles that apply when creating a security architecture, and so on and so forth. So it's one of the core areas in security again. Then you have security operations. Security operations, this is pretty much the area that I work in. So it's about alerting, managing these alerts, asset management, things like SIM, log management, SOAR, security automation, all of that is in this domain. So if you are currently working in a security operations team, or if you intend to work in a SOC team down the road, this is the domain that will be most interesting to you. Okay. And then the last domain is called security program management and oversight. Now, this domain is one that's more geared towards how you will be managing the security in a company as a whole, right? What would be the main tasks that you would want to achieve in terms of the overall security program of the company, and so on and so forth. So compliance is also something that's in this domain here. And compliance, as some of you know, is something that's pretty important when it comes to security. All of you who are working in the GRC domain, you're probably dealing with security audits, security standards, regulations, and so on and so forth. So this is all in this domain as well. In terms of the percentages, now the first domain, as we've mentioned, is only 12% of the overall exam score. The second domain, 22%, and then you have 18, 28, and 20. So they're almost evenly distributed, not exactly, but the first domain is obviously the lowest out of all of them. It's only 12%, and the rest is pretty much almost evenly distributed across the other 4 domains. So this is it in a nutshell regarding the certification itself and what it covers. Now, the content, it's so let's say that you're already working in security. You might say, all right, but this sounds pretty broad, isn't it? And my answer to that would be no. It's not, because it's definitely not expert level content, but it's also specific enough to address certain very particular issues, in regards to cybersecurity. So it's going to give you enough knowledge to be able to assume any cybersecurity related position on top of which you're going to have to build on, right? So, for example, if you take this exam and pass it, you won't become a pen tester right off the bat, right? But at the same time, if you want to make sure that you have the required minimum level of knowledge to work any type of cybersecurity job, then definitely this exam is for you. And we're going to go through that in a moment. So that's it about the contents of the exam itself. Now, I want to say a few words about the importance of Security Plus in the overall cybersecurity landscape. Now, these days, as you probably know, there's a very large number of IT security certifications out there. I'm not even talking about tech certifications as a whole. I'm talking specifically about security certifications. There's a relatively large number of vendors that are providing these certifications, and each one of them is offering at least 5 to 10 different certs, some of them even more, that are geared specifically towards information security and cybersecurity. So, as we've mentioned earlier, the first question is CompTIA a reputable vendor to begin with? And we've answered this question and we said, yes, it is. But then one of the other questions that comes to mind as an afterthought is, okay, but then is Security Plus a respectable certification? Because I think it's almost obvious that you might have a reputable vendor and not all of the certifications that this vendor offers might be reputable in and of themselves, right? So, for example, they might offer 10 different certs, and out of them, only 2 or 3 might really be worth investing your time and money into, right? Now, with Security Plus, I think I've already mentioned this earlier, but it's actually one of the flagman certifications of CompTIA. It's actually one of their most popular certifications. Some might even argue that is their most popular certification. So if your question is it reputable? Absolutely. Now, if you have to compare it with other competitor certs by other vendors, I could even give you examples of such certifications. CompTIA Security Plus is definitely out there. It's definitely among the most respected ones. So I think it's definitely worth everyone's and anyone's time and money if you're looking at basically the return ratio, right? So what I'm gonna get out of this certification in case I pass the exam. One of the best ways to judge that is to basically pull up any given job board and search for cybersecurity certifications. So if you can find a certification there as part of the requirements for certain cybersecurity positions, then this means that it's a respected certification. Because, let's face it, this is a market. And like any other market, the more demand something has for it, the more valuable it is, right? So if you pull up any given job board, you're going to find a lot of job ads for positions which require for the applicant to have the CompTIA Security Plus certification in order to apply for the given position. Okay, so this is one of the best ways to make sure that you are investing your time and money in something that's worth it, in something that's going to have return value for you, right? Now, that's not to say that CompTIA doesn't have other reputable certifications as well. It does, for sure. And just to give you an example of why the value differs between different certifications, and just to show you that I'm not just saying that all of their certs are perfect and this one is great as well. For example, if you are into project management, I probably won't recommend their Project Plus certification. And it's not because its content is not well structured or any of that. It's just because there are other, a lot more reputable project management related certifications out there. But if you are a security professional, or if you want to become a security professional, or even if you're just starting in this industry, I would definitely recommend the CompTIA Security Plus certification to you. Okay? All right. So, in terms of the 701 exam, we've already mentioned some of the, we've already mentioned the domains, we've already mentioned roughly what each one of them covers. What I want to do here is I want to once again emphasize on the fact that if you have other study materials, if you have, for example, older materials which were for the 601 exam, they're not worthless at this point. You can definitely use them, but at the same time, you still need the new content. You still need, a course like the one that we offer here, which would prepare you for the new exam and make sure that you have everything covered in order to set yourself up for success. Okay? All right, so the difference, we pretty much already covered it. Here, I'm just gonna make sure that you're fully aware that there are two separate exams. Once again, one of them is already sunset. It's no longer available. The 601 exam is no longer for sale by CompTIA. What you're looking at this point is the 701 CompTIA Security Plus exam. By the way, for CompTIA in particular, the renew cycle, it's usually around 3 years. So if you look at the launch dates of the two exams, the 601 exam was launched at the end of 2020. And then at the end of 2023, at the end of last year, they launched the 701 exam. Yeah, I think this is a reasonable renewal cycle for the exams contents, to be honest, because I said it earlier, but I'm gonna mention it once again. You cannot expect for a cybersecurity certification to be as relevant in terms of its content as it was on the day when it was created, right? I think this is pretty obvious. So because of that, there are ways for the certification vendors to make sure that the people who become certified possess the right amount of up-to-date knowledge at all times. And there are pretty much two ways of achieving that, right? One is to say, okay, so you have passed your exam today, but it will expire after 2 years, for example. So this means that in 2 years or before that, you're going to have to renew your exam by taking it once again. And this ensures that you're going to once again demonstrate that you possess the right amount of knowledge in order to hold this certification, okay? So that's the first approach. Now, the second approach is one that I think probably most of the certification vendors tend to lean towards. And it's the one where you're saying, okay, so John has passed this exam today. We're not going to make John pay for the exam once again in 1 or 2 or 3 years. What we're going to do is we're going to tell John, all right, so from now on, you have a certain amount of learning points, of continuous education points that you're going to have to submit to us in order to keep your certification current. And you could achieve this by going to conferences, reading books, taking other exams, whatever. But this is how you're showing to us that your cybersecurity knowledge is up to date. Yeah, it's not just cybersecurity, right? It's for other tech domains as well. My point here being that exams tend to change, exams tend to get renewed. And if you don't take the 701 certification now, at the end of 2026, most likely CompTIA would issue a new version of the exam. And then the same process would repeat for the 701 exam, where they're going to say, all right, guys, so the last date when you could take the 701 exam is, let's say, May 24th. After May 24th, it's 801, right? So I'm telling you all of this because right now you have a lot of people that are interested in the fact that there's a new version of the exam. So all of the content that, for example, we're delivering is geared towards the new version. So it's fresh, it's new, and it's tailored so that everyone who attends our courses, for example, would be set up for success in order to successfully pass their exam and obtain their certification. And it's all because of the fact that this exam version change happened very recently, literally end of last year, mid of this year. Okay. All right. Now, just real quick, going through the domains that I've mentioned earlier. So, understanding security fundamentals. This domain for somebody who is new to the security industry, for somebody who is just taking their first cybersecurity certification, this domain is going to be very, very valuable, right? In this domain, you're going to basically understand what cybersecurity is, what it's composed of, what are its core principles, its core pillars, and so on and so forth. For somebody who is a seasoned cybersecurity professional, this domain might not be one where you're going to, have a aha moment to say, okay, all right, so now I understand how it's working, right? So a lot of this might be familiar to you, but it doesn't mean that you still won't get value from it, right? It's just, what is security to begin with. Next on, you have the exploring network security, where so basically, now I don't want to get into too much detail, but for those of you who are in this industry for some time, you might know that security is composed of different subdomains, right? So there's application security, network security, there's infrastructure security, physical security, and so on and so forth. Now, network security is something that we're going to talk about in this course. It's one of the biggest domains within the overall security domain. And, a lot of people who have worked in the networking area before eventually transition to security. I'm one of them. Back in the days, I started off as a networking engineer, and then I gradually transitioned towards security. So it's very easy for somebody who, well, I don't want to say very easy, but it's relatively easy for somebody who has worked as a network engineer to eventually become a cybersecurity professional. And network security is usually the area where they set their foot into the security domain. So, we don't talk about a lot of things here in this domain, but, it's things like, the OSI model, firewalls, so on and so forth. Okay. Next, you have increasing cybercrime threats and vulnerabilities. So this is basically, the exact same content that they're covering in one of the domains of the 701 exam. So threats and vulnerabilities, it's a never-ending subject. So you probably know that there are people who are working their day job as threat hunters, vulnerability managers, and so on and so forth. So, this domain, just by consuming this content, some of you might say, okay, so this sounds pretty great. I'm very interested in that. And tomorrow I might decide to actually become, might start doing this as a day job, right? I might become a vulnerability manager or, what have you, which is related to this part of security. So again, very relevant and very something that you will be working at if you're working in the cybersecurity space. Okay. Now, ethical hacking, this is usually one of the most, let's say, sexy domains of cybersecurity. People are watching Hollywood movies, seeing these hackers hacking into this and hacking into that, and this is as closest to that as you're gonna get. As long as you're working on this side of the wall, of course. So ethical hacking is very popular. A lot of people are starting jobs as penetration testers or being part of red teams, purple teams, and what have you. So there's a whole industry that's entirely geared towards preparing people for such jobs. There are even entire cybersecurity vendors which are only delivering ethical hacking and pen testing certifications. So this is also something that we will touch base on as part of the preparation for this for the certification. Risk management, I think one of the probably most underrated cybersecurity domains. Even though there are a lot of people working as risk analysts, risk managers, so on and so forth, but very important for everyone, regardless of what your exact role is in cybersecurity. You might be a SOC analyst, you might be a threat hunter, you might be a manager or whatever. But my point is that you need to understand how risk works, because especially if you work at a very big company, most likely you have an entire team that's dedicated just to that. So also quite important to know and understand. And then how to secure yourself from social media attacks. This is something that's I think it's relevant to pretty much everybody who is using a computer, which means I guess almost everybody these days. So as you know, social engineering is it's almost like a science of its own. There are some people who are very, very skilled at that, and they, one of the channels that they use for conducting their social engineering attacks is exactly social media. So you need to understand how this works. You need to understand what needs to be done in order to prevent your users from that. And again, this is something that's going to be covered as part of the exams content. Okay. All right. So let's move on with study strategies and resources. Now, tips for effective study planning. Here, first of all, I want to start with saying that there's no silver bullet here. Okay, so if you expect me to give you a recipe for success, it doesn't work this way. But what I'm going to say is that you definitely need to find your own effective study strategy. And what I mean is that if you find that, for example, going through videos is not your thing, but reading books is, or the other way around, then stick to that, right? But you need to find what works for you. And usually this happens when you try different ways, different strategies, and then you say, okay, so this is definitely my thing, and the other one isn't. So it's not just a matter of passing the course, because you're gonna pass the course, but then after that you need to continue studying even down the road, right? And for those of you for which this is the first tech exam that you're attending, it might even be a bit scary, just thinking about all of the content that you need to consume, how you're gonna do it, how you're gonna find the right time to do it. And time is, by the way, usually one of the greatest issues. At least for me, it is, because just trying to make sure you have enough of it in order to have a life to begin with, and then do your day job and also try to study for the exam is usually challenging. But yeah, I think one of the best ways you could use, one of the best strategies is to schedule your time, right? Dedicate time. Don't just go like, all right, I'm gonna study for 1 hour today, and then maybe I'm gonna study for 3 hours tomorrow, and then I'm gonna maybe take a break for a few weeks and then pick it up all over again. Don't be like that. I think it's easier for me to tell you what not to do as opposed to what to do. So don't be chaotic. Make sure that you have your time scheduled. And by the way, taking a course like the one that we deliver for Security Plus is a great way to have structured learning time, right? Because you know that you have to be on the course in order to consume the content. So this time is already dedicated to that. But even outside of that, just try to have your time well structured and well scheduled. So I think at least for me, one of the things that always works is schedule the exam, right? Just buy the exam, make sure it's scheduled, and then start learning. And why I'm saying this is because a lot of people, myself included, don't actually start being serious about learning and studying for this exam until they have already paid for it. Because once you have paid for it, once you have it scheduled, once it's on the calendar, there's no going back, right? There's no there's no taking this back. So you know that it's already there, so you have to study it, or you're gonna fail the exam. I think this is something that just on a psychological level works for a lot of people. Just by knowing that, I mean, sure, you can reschedule the exam, but if you cancel it, you're not gonna, you're gonna lose your money, or just you're gonna lose all the time that you have already spent studying for this exam. Okay. All right. So in terms of recommended study materials and resources, I think this ties back to what I've said earlier about what works for you. So first, you need to understand what's your preferred um, form of learning content. And again, not everything works for everybody, right? There are people who prefer reading, there are people who prefer watching, there are even people who prefer listening. So find your way and then go with it, right? So if you prefer reading books, look up all kinds of materials that are reading materials to help you study for this exam. If you're more of a video person, then, I mean, YouTube is full of content. But I just want to add a quick disclaimer here. Don't be so have some hygiene in terms of what content you consume, right? So don't consume anything, because unfortunately there's also a lot of bad content out there, and as you know, everyone is free to create content, so there are no limitations, and there are people who are not skilled in neither teaching others nor in the area that they're teaching about, and they create all sorts of content. They're uploading it to YouTube and to other platforms, and because it's free, people think that it's gonna work for them, but very often, they don't have enough value out of this in order to pass an exam. There's often even times where some of the content has some wrong statements in it, which is probably the worst thing you could do, is to learn something in a wrong way. So just be very careful about this. YouTube is a great friend of yours in terms of supporting content, but I think it cannot be your main source of preparation. For example, for this exam or for any other exam, because of the fact that you're paying for it, because of the fact that you're investing time in it, you need to make sure that you have your content from a validated source. Okay. And then just a few words about who should take the CompTIA Security Plus. I don't think this is the type of exam that's geared towards a specific group of people, right? And I think I've mentioned this earlier too, but whether you're right at the beginning of your cybersecurity journey, or whether you're a seasoned cybersecurity professional, the Security Plus is suitable for you, right? Because I know people who have been in this industry for 5-10 years, and they haven't taken a single cybersecurity certification. And this doesn't stand well on your resume, right? Because cybersecurity certifications and certifications in general, when you have them on your resume, they're a way of showing whoever is reading this resume that, yes, this person has invested in themselves. Yes, they have taken the time and effort to pass this exam. And yes, this exam, the fact that they have passed this exam shows that they are skilled in this, area of expertise. This doesn't mean that they'll necessarily be great at the position that they're applying for, but it means that they do have the right minimum amount of knowledge in order to do the job. Okay. All right. The exam structure and format, I've already mentioned that the content will change. It has already changed with the 701 version. In terms of the format itself, it's it's a test-based exam, so it's 90 questions, and so the passing score is 750 out of 1000. It's on a scale of 100 to 900. So you need to have 750 points in order to successfully pass the exam. Now, of course, you don't know, always, every time on these exams, there are certain questions that are not graded. And they're putting this question in there just in order to assess how people would do on them, whether they'll be, um, you know, solving them with ease or not, in order to make a decision on whether to include them as graded questions down the road. But you're going to have a maximum of 90 questions on this exam, and you're going to have 90 minutes for these 90 questions. Okay, so this is pretty much what the exam looks like. Common mistakes and how to avoid them, and I'm almost wrapping up with this. So one of the mistakes that I, every time I, advise people not to do. So let's say that you take this course, right? Let's say that you take the course that we offer. After the course, do not delay taking the exam for too long. I think this is a major mistake. Some people take the course and say, all right, so I'm going to study for another 6 months and then I'm probably going to take the exam. Don't be like that. Take your time to review all of the material, give yourself a week or two, but not more than that, right? I think if you give yourself more than that, it's going to start working against you, right? You're going to initiate the reverse process where you're actually going to start forgetting things that you learned 2, 3, or 4 weeks ago. So don't delay attending the exam too much time after attending the course. The other mistake is, don't underestimate yourself. People are usually scared about taking exams, especially when they're just the beginning of their cybersecurity journey. Don't be. So every exam is passable. I mean, I don't want to say this, but I mean, it's not rocket science, right? So cybersecurity is a very important and complex subject, but people like you and me are working in this area because we have taken the time and effort to become skillful in what we do. So because of that, every exam can be passed as long as you take the right amount of effort into studying for it. Okay. And test taking strategies. So definitely make sure to make at least one review of the answers that you have given. So try to plan your time in such a way that after you have gone through all of the questions, make sure to leave enough time to make at least one review of the answers that you have given. This is important because oftentimes people tend to find mistakes in their answers that they have given. So I think just leaving enough time for review is pretty crucial. Also, I think the time is more than enough to successfully pass the exam. So don't rush it. Make sure to give every question the appropriate amount of time. But at the same time, if you find yourself being stuck on a question for more than 2 or 3 minutes, just move on and get back to this question after that. So it's basically trying to strike the right balance, right? Don't be too quick, don't be too slow. All right. And last but not least, career opportunities. So if you're already a seasoned cybersecurity professional, this exam is going to look great on your resume. But I think if you're right at the beginning of your cybersecurity journey, this certification is going to give you even more value because it might actually open some doors for you, right? Because very often when you look at two resumes back to back, the difference between the two of them might be one certification, right? If you have the exact same resumes, the exact same amount of experience, but one of these people had, let's say, the CompTIA Security post and the other one didn't. Me personally, as a hiring manager, I would prefer having an interview with the person that has the certification. So definitely a valuable certification. It's definitely one that's gonna pay you back in terms of the value that it's giving you. And the last thing I want to say is certifications are great, but some people perceive them in the wrong way, right? So a certification is not going to secure a job for you, regardless of what anyone says. But a certification is going to open a lot of doors for you. And like I've just said, very often times the difference between somebody who's going to receive a call for an interview or even a job offer, and somebody who's not going to receive it, is the fact that, the first person spent time and effort building up their resume, showing that they're skillful in what they do, passing exams, receiving certifications, and the other person just, did their job, did not want to go the extra mile, did not want to invest time and money into developing themselves. So, believe me, these things show when you look at the resume. Okay, so I think we have exactly 5 minutes left, and I hope it will be enough for any questions that might have popped up in the meantime. So I'm gonna pass the ball back and open to any questions.
Thank you, Dragostin, for this informative session. Now I request to the audience, please pop in your questions. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. Our instructor Dragostin will answer all your questions. Okay, let me see if we have any question. All right, we have one question. So that is, what are the common mistakes candidates make when they prepare for CompTIA exam?
It's a great question. I think I answered, some of it earlier, but I think it's the same types of mistakes that people make when they attend any kind of cybersecurity or even tech exam to begin with. So in terms of taking the exam itself, the mistakes are usually, and these are some of them are mistakes that I have made myself when taking some exams throughout the years. So some of them are things like going to the exam and not having rested well the night before. And some people might even laugh when they hear that, and they might underestimate it. Believe me, it's super important. So don't make the mistake of studying until the last minute and then going to take the exam with just 1 hour of sleep or something like that, right? So while you take the exam, just be calm. Make sure to give yourself enough time to go through every question. But again, don't find yourself stuck at a single question for too long. So if you don't, so if the answer doesn't strike you in the head when you see the all of the answers that are given for the particular question, just move on to the next question, and then you can come back to this one. Keep in mind that in terms of that, the Security Plus is a relatively wide type of exam because 90 questions is not that much. For those of you who have attended exams like CISSP and others like that, you know that there are some monstrous exams in terms of the number of questions. So 90 questions is definitely not that much. You have enough time to go through each one of them, conduct a review or even 2 reviews after that, and then submit your exam. So I hope that this answers the question.
Perfect. Okay, we have another question. Did you run into any questions that were not covered in the course material? I will repeat again. Did you run into any questions that were not covered in the course material? We have a question from one of.
No. So the simple answer is no. There should not be any questions on the exam that are not covered in the course material. So this is the short answer. The long answer is, like I said earlier, you might stumble upon questions that have been put into the exam just in order to test how well the test takers would perceive them, and you won't know whether the particular question is graded or not. So let's say that you have 90 questions on your exam, 5 of them might be ones that are not graded. So even if you give a wrong answer to them, it won't count towards your overall exam score. But again, you won't know which one they might be. And every single exam vendor does this. But even these questions, they won't be questions outside of the material, right? So everything that we're providing on this course, it's part of the material that you need to know in order to pass the exam. There shouldn't be any question on this exam that, for example, when you see the question, you're like, oh my God, this wasn't on the course. What's going on here? I don't know anything about this. No, there shouldn't be such a question. Of course, there are certain questions that are, that might be structured in a way that could confuse you, but the overall areas, the domains that are covered on the exam, all of them are covered as part of this course.
All right. Okay, we will give a minute more. If anyone have any question, just pop in your question. I think we are done up with the questions. If anyone have any questions, you can reach us on the email. We will reach you back with all the details. Thank you, Dragostin. We have done up with the questions. And again, thank you for your time today. I have a special offer announcement. We are running a special offer on CompTIA Security Plus program and also on few more courses. This is the industry's have a big discount. It is the premium discount. To know more, you can visit on our website. Me and my team will also send you the email. You can reply us back. If in case you have any friend or colleague looking for the training, you can also suggest them. I have also added my LinkedIn profile and company details. If anyone want to know more, can connect with me directly. So when it comes on upskilling and reskilling, CCS Learning Academy is designed to be your organization's secret weapon. Our network of talented and passionate professional instructors are ready and waiting to work directly with you and your team. If you are new to IT or seasoned professional, we offer a wide range of courses for your needs. And if you need more information, please contact us. On behalf of CCS and our instructor, Dragostin, we would like to thank you for your attention on this important training session today. Hope you enjoyed the session. Looking forward to you all for joining our future webinars. Stay safe out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.